Welcome to another edition of the Faith to Faith Gospelcast. Our special guest today flew north in the midst of all the cold and snow, which is opposite of what most people do. Most people are trying to get out of here when the weather gets cold and go back to where she's from. But actually, I made her do it. We've recalled all staff home for staff days over the next few days here in Connecticut. And so Sailor Shelton-Crump has come from Panama City, Florida to be with us during these staff days. And it would be a mistake to not bring her here onto the show. So we're going to hear her story today and more right after this. Welcome to the Faith to Faith Gospelcast, where we talk about all things related to God, faith, missions, leadership, side hustles, and what Jesus is doing in the next generation. I'm your host, Tommy Ashiro, and I want to welcome you to the program. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button and come back for a new episode each week. With all that said, let's jump into today's episode. Hi, Sailor. Welcome to Connecticut.
Hi, it's good to be here.
It's been a few years, but the last time you were here, I brought you here to kind of like audition to be part of the team. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like an audition. It was like just like, see how the chemistry works and whether or not you'd be a good fit here. Mm-hmm. Is that how you...
It was more like a test.
No,
but
not a test. A social experiment, more like a social experiment.
Maybe.
So now it's been a couple of years you've been around. We're going to hear your story today of how you joined the team. But welcome to New England. You get to see snow.
I know. It's only my third time seeing snow ever.
Panama City doesn't get a lot of snow.
We got snow last year, actually, for the first time in 30 years.
That's really weird. I don't even understand how Florida can get any snow. I mean, the weather patterns have been really weird. But it did snow right as you were coming in. So I guess maybe God was just trying to be kind to you so you could see it, experience it. But you don't really have a wardrobe that really lends itself to cold weather. It was funny.
No.
You were texting me and you're like, am I going to need a jacket? And I'm like, yeah, hoodies aren't really going to cut it up for the next day. But it was so cool because Edie's like, I'm going to get not summer. I'm going to get Sailor a pair of boots so that she is ready for the snow. And what did you have to buy to get ready for this trip?
Oh, my goodness. I had to get a winter coat. I did not have one of those.
Do they even sell those in Florida? Or did you
No, they don't.
Go on Temu and...
No, I got everything off of Amazon.
Okay,
that's fair. And I had to get, like, some actual gloves that were not just, like, super, super thin.
Yep.
And, yeah. I have a heated vest, too.
A heated vest?
I haven't broke that out yet.
I feel like that's overkill a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I get cold easy.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you've gotten to see like the Mystic Christmas lights, and we haven't pulled all that stuff down yet. So that was kind of cool, and we got to go to the beach and see a frozen version of what that looks like.
It's all super, super pretty.
Yeah, it's definitely good to look at once, but when you're living in it, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
The winter months are like cold and they're hard. But this is where it's like really cool to bring all the staff home because it's like in the midst of the cold, barren land. You know, they even say that spiritually we're a little cold as well up here. They call us the frozen chosen up here. So, you know, in the dead of winter, also in the spiritually cold climate, the Faith to Faith team assembles to light the fires of New England again. So it's really cool to have you here. I'd love to hear your story of how you joined the team. Like we could start there and then kind of talk about some other stuff. But
for sure, yeah. So I was in a like evangelist mentorship program called Pulse 100, which a lot of the other people you've had on here were part of, and most of them were part of my cohort, so like year 2, which is super cool. I think we were probably the best year, but I'm a little bit biased. So I actually hadn't met Tom the entire time, and because there were a lot of people, a lot of mentors and everything, hadn't met you at all, didn't know who you were. I think I might have heard of you. But so anyway, so we were at the last retreat in Minnesota, and we were kind of on a break, and all of my friends and I, like 30 of us, were gonna go like get ice cream or smoothies or something. And I was like, okay, let me run to my room and grab something really quick and come back. When I got back, they had all left, which like wasn't intentional. It wasn't mean or anything like that. There was like 30 or 40 of us. It was a whole lot of people. So I just sat down in the lobby and I started reading my Bible. And I don't know why. It's kind of a weird thing to, like, such a small thing to ask God. But for whatever reason, I asked him if I could go back to my room and spend time with him instead of being in the lobby. And he said, no, I want you to stay here and talk to someone. And so I was like, okay, like, I'm an evangelist. I'm at an evangelist retreat. Like, I'm probably going to tell someone about Jesus. And I sit there reading my Bible for like 30 minutes, and not a single soul walks in the front door. And I'm just like, okay, God, like, why am I sitting here? Like, what am I doing? And I just really want to go back to my room and get under the covers in my bed. And he tells me to stay there, so I do. And then eventually you come walking over to me, and you want to pick up from there?
No, I want you to keep going.
No?
I think I mean, like, I didn't
What
know
did you
this.
say?
All right, in all honesty, I have never heard this part of the story before, but this is our second time recording it. So we're trying to get back to where we were, and I still am very interested in your perspective of how this came about. So we're reaching that point now, and I want to hear it. So.
Okay. Well, he walked up to me, and he said something along the lines of, "Did all of your friends leave you?" Or like, "Do you have any friends?" And I was like, yeah, I do, but they're gone right now. And so he just sat down next to me, and we started having a conversation. I realized, like, I think you probably already knew that I was part of Pulse because there was a bunch of young evangelists running around.
Sure.
But I realized that you were a mentor and everything. And
I think it was something like, "Where's all your friends?" Because you looked lost. You were like just standing in the corner on your phone.
I was just sitting there on my phone, but I was reading the Bible. But you wouldn't be able to tell because I was just on my phone.
That sounds good. Yeah. But it was like you were clearly, and I'm like, why are you over there in the corner all by yourself? So, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And I remember, I didn't really have any particular thing that I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
What's your name? Sailor. Oh, like cussing like a sailor? Which is now a thing.
He loves to say that all the time.
I love to say it in places like Starbucks when they're like, "One name, please." And I'm like, "Sailor, like cuss like a sailor?" And
yeah.
Like, shut up. So then we kept talking about ministry, and you shared some stuff with me, and keep going with that interaction because it was good.
So we were just sitting there talking for like an hour, and we talked about like all kinds of different stuff. You asked me about ministry and about what I want to do. And, I think I told you that I want to be in ministry. I feel called to ministry, but I have a lot of health problems. And so I had tried to work normal, like quote unquote normal jobs in the past, and it hadn't really worked out. And so I was like, that's what I want to do, but I don't know if I'll be able to. And
didn't you tell me you went to school too for a minute? Or
I went to school. I went to college for 3 semesters, but my last 2 semesters I had to get medical withdrawals because of surgeries and things. And that's actually part of my testimony.
We'll dive into that.
Yeah, we'll get there later.
I just was trying to remember, and I feel like you did say you were in school for a minute, but
yeah, not right then. I had already left school at that point.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, so it was kind of interesting because you were like, as I'm listening to you talk, and you're like, the dream is ministry, but I don't think it's gonna happen for me. That was the trigger word for me. You're like, but I don't think it's gonna work out, and I was like, what? Why? Like, why? And why are you here in Pulse 100 then if you don't think it's going to work out?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, I'm just always getting sick. The thing that I think you've come to find out is that there's several people in Faith to Faith that have had serious health issues, and we figured out how to get them moving in ministry. And my first wife had serious health issues, and that ended up coming to her passing away. So it's not like I look for that stuff, but if it comes up, it's like, it seems like less of a problem for me because
you have experience
we
with
were always
it.
navigating somebody's health something. So it was like, you probably could do it. And I just remember I was like, you probably could work for us. And you're like, I can. It was just like this really like innocent, I don't know. It was just like endearing, you know? Well, we probably could have you do something. Like we could have our prayer thing. You could probably do that. I remember like thinking out loud. And then you'd be like, oh, that sounds amazing. And I was like, okay, settle down. Because like we had just hired a bunch of young people. I was like, can you give me a couple months to figure this out? But yeah, let's try it out. And then
well, that was crazy to me because I've known you for all of 30 minutes and you're
true. Or
saying
even
like,
less.
less. And you're like, well, maybe you can work for me.
Which, out of cohort 2, which let's be fair, like so many awesome kids are in that cohort. Like a lot of the young people that have been on this podcast, we met in cohort 2. That was like a swing year. I mean, things have really stabilized down in Pulse, and we're not recruiting out of the same friend circle anymore. But at that point in time, it was like one big friend circle.
Yes.
And a lot of those kids were Christian TikTokers and things like that. So there was a lot of sparkly, glittery things floating around that year. And it was great to become friends with all of them. But I hadn't met you. And then I think it was by dinner time you were planning to come to Connecticut for that.
Yeah, well, you were already like talking to Johnny about it, and like, yeah, she can stay with you and your family, and then we'll like get you over here with all of the why am I blanking on their name? The
MBL Worship.
Yes.
Every Heart. We did like a big tour with them, and
he tricked me.
I didn't trick you, but it was kind of like several things were brewing at the same time. I think that's the way I'll say that. Several things were brewing at the same time, and so we were like, oh, well, maybe we can check this box, and this box by just making it a thing. So, we were going to lean into a couple other young men from Rhode Island to be local organizers, and then we were like, oh, Sailor might join the team. This might be a good chance to see what it's like, and if she culturally will vibe with the team, or if it's like we'll get a read on what it'll be like. So you were like, oh yeah, that's so cool. And then I'm pretty sure I bought that ticket before I even left Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh yeah, here's your ticket. See you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. And I didn't even know where Panama City was. Like, on the map. So
that's so
there's
funny.
a lot of places I don't know where it's on the map, but then it was like nothing until you showed up in Connecticut, right? Like there wasn't like a lot of interaction after that. So it was like we met, and in the same day, oh yeah, you could work for us. Oh yeah. Oh, come to Connecticut. Oh, here's your ticket. All right, see you in a couple months or something.
Yeah, which is like crazy from my perspective because I'm sitting here and it's like I'm pretty sure it was pretty close to the end of the retreat also.
I think it was final day.
And so like the final day of me being in this like evangelist mentorship thing, nothing like I've learned so much. I met so many great people, but nothing had really like I hadn't like most of us, like we didn't know what was going to happen next or where to go from there. And then all my friends leave me and God tells me to stay and talk to someone. And then I get a job offer and a plane ticket to Connecticut. And I'm like, what? Like
that is pretty interesting. I guess when you think about it like that, yeah, it seems like God had a lot to do with that stuff.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm just like, oh yeah.
You're just like bumbling around. Like,
and also, it was pretty typical for me to like give people work. Just the way I do things. But also, you were sharing your vision, and that probably could have been complicated for other ministries because you were telling me about how you felt called to be home and serve at your local church and
yeah.
not to come to Connecticut. So it wasn't like I was trying to get you to be a missionary and move up here. It was more like you were selling me a vision of what God was calling you to do. And then, yeah, it was like, okay, let's figure it out. Cool.
Yeah.
So that might cause people who are listening to this conversation to be like, that's really confusing why that would work. So let's kind of, before we come back to your time in Connecticut, because that would kind of be the next part of the story, let's kind of segue off to what it is you're doing for Faith to Faith. So tell me a little bit about your role here and what you do.
So, oh my goodness, there's so many different layers and different things. I don't think anyone on the team really has like one specific job.
That's
like
true.
we all do so many different things, and I feel like that's the way it is in every ministry or church or wherever you're at like that. So, I, like everyone else on the team, am part of our prayer ministry stewards. And so I connect with a lot of the people who are connected to our Faith to Faith family and pray for them. And that is one of my favorite parts, honestly. It's just so sweet getting to like call and like get to know these people and pray with them every month. And then I'm also connected obviously with my local church and back in Panama City. And so I've gone there my whole life. And, but through Faith to Faith, I, have been able to work for them or like work with them in partnership with Faith to Faith. And, so I run all of our social media. I'm our small groups coordinator and, which we just recently started small groups. It's a whole new thing. And then I work with our youth and our young adults.
So this is how we would probably talk about it from a ministry level. So Faith to Faith, a lot, we're an evangelistic ministry, but we're also a youth development ministry. So the people who work for us are as much as part of the outreach as the people on the outside of the organization that we'd hope to reach. So the development of our team is part of the ministry. And so when you said, I need work, giving young people work is part of the ministry. Like the actual function of working together is how I teach people how to do ministry.
Yeah.
So our prayer department is actually like our entry-level job, just like working the fry line at McDonald's. It's like, okay, you're going to work in this entry-level position, but you never really get promoted from prayer because it's important. And we realized that it was a great entry point to teach young leaders our philosophy of ministry and how we'd like to see the ministry progress and make it part of your DNA before doing anything else. So if someone says, I need a job, okay, we have an hourly position, ministry prayer steward, everybody does it. I do it. Everybody at the ministry does it, and we all report to the first person who does it, who did it, Susie Flores, and we all submit to her leadership for this activity. And Susie leads us through a process of trying to take stewardship of everyone we have a relationship. And I think it's really important that Susie, her role is just really important because evangelism is always preceded by prayer, and evangelism is always more powerful when you have prayer
Definitely
happening. So for the whole team to have a DNA of a commitment to regular, accountable prayer interaction is like it was accidental that we did this, but it's actually really foundational for anything good to happen. So we want everybody to work there in prayer, on the front lines, hourly work, before we offer or shape anything else. And then as the relationship progresses, and if you as the young person take it on and take it seriously, then we begin to stack other responsibilities on top of it. So, okay, so we offer you that. It doesn't really start for a while. And there's a trip to Connecticut before that even starts. And a lot of waiting around, right? So you come to Connecticut, and tell us about that. Tell us a little bit about that visit.
Okay, so I like to say that Tom was testing me. He claims it a little bit differently, but he like sold me this, and I want to like say first before that I would have come either way, but he sold me this vision of like, you know, MVL and Every Heart are on this tour, and they're coming here, and they're going to do this huge rally, and they're going to like go out and evangelize and do like little mission projects all week long, and you'll be hanging out with them and all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, cool, because I already knew like Brennan and Kylie and some of the other people, and they're awesome, and they're great people, but they're also my favorite worship band.
They're having a baby, by the way. Did you know that?
Yes, that's so exciting.
I saw them in October, and she had the mama glow.
Aww.
And Brennan's looking more like a dad all the time.
That's so funny. Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, okay, great. That sounds awesome. And so I get here, though, and the way they've kind of broken things up for the week doing missions and stuff leading up to the Jesus Rally was there were multiple groups in Rhode Island, and then there was one group of mostly staff in Connecticut where, you know, Faith to Faith is based. And we were doing 2 VBSs every single day for a week. And there have been not very many other times that I have been that exhausted, like hanging out with kids all day, but I loved it. And I love the people that I was meeting at the churches, and everyone was so nice, but it was like, I wasn't anywhere near MBL or my friends or anyone like that the whole week until the very last day when we went to the Jesus Rally. And I still had a great time. It was awesome, but
you know,
it was just different.
Yeah, you know, the testing of you was something that was like progressively understood as we were shaping the outreach, because at the beginning when I was telling you, we didn't have anything figured out.
Yeah.
But as we got closer and closer, and I even went on a mission to England. I don't know if you knew this. I was in England while it was starting to happen, and I was working through the 2 boys, Johnny and Evan DeCristofaro, to organize things while I was abroad.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know if it was going to work out. I was just like, okay, guys, call all the pastors together, do this, that, and the other thing, and hopefully it works out, and I'll see you when I get back, kind of thing. And they did a great job, especially because they'd never done anything like that. They were very scared to mess it up. But I think this is a huge piece of youth development, is not gatekeeping for you guys the actual stuff that makes ministry work. Like, this is literally what all of us at the adult level have been doing all along. And here are the steps, here how to do it, and here's the keys. Drive. Which actually we've done that too, haven't we, Sailor? I've actually physically had my car keys to drive.
And made me drive in the snow for the first time ever.
Listen, there is a method to the madness. I know sometimes from the outside it might seem chaotic, like, oh, Tom makes us do a million different roles. Oh, Tom seems to fly by the seat of the pants. But actually all these things are super intentional things to help people step up to the plate and grow in their leadership. So, yep, making you drive in the snow, making you drive on the interstate. Functionally, I needed you to drive here this morning so that Josiah and I could set up the studio. And the runway to that is we need Sailor to feel confident on her own so that she can do this small 10-minute task so that we can work in the morning. So that's the framework for it. How will we get on that runway? And my wife's already yelling at me, you're going to make this poor girl drive in the snow. She's from Florida. She doesn't know. She's going to be scared. All that is true. But at the same time, how are we going to get you from here to there where you can do a 10-minute drive and you're not going to care? Well, let's do all the fear and all the stuff together, and then you're on your own.
And then a buck runs out in front of you. It
was actually Josiah Yano dressed up. I told him to do it just to get you prepared for that. So, no, I'm just kidding. So we went out. We did the 10-minute drive to Edie's. And you're like, okay, I'm all done. No. Go to the end of the road and take a left. And then we merge onto the interstate. You did a great job. In fact, when I did the same activity with Josiah Maloney, it was way scarier for me. You did way better than that.
I did not have my license. I was on a permit.
You were on a permit, but you didn't tell me you'd never driven on an actual road with cars.
I literally did.
This guy baited me so much. Like, he says he did. He's like, Tom made me. And I'm like, he's like, oh, I brought, like, the whole conversation starts with, oh, I brought my permit because I knew you were going to try and make me drive. Like, it started with him trying to go.
I thought we were going to do back roads.
Yeah, right. So
I said, no, we're not going on the highway. And you're like, nah, it's fine. Let's go on the highway.
Bro, I would do that. By that point in the conversation, I would do that. But I didn't know you were going to drive my car like Super Mario Brothers. I just, like, turned the wheel with no brake. I mean, it was scary. I think I have a video. If I can find it, I'm going to put it right here of me experiencing Josiah's driving for the first time. So this noob says he's been driving for a while.
I did not say that.
This is his first time.
Words in my
this
mouth.
is his first time on the road.
You said you have your permit, right?
Dude, I need to clarify. Focus on the road, bro. Bro, stay in the lines. Look at this craziness. We're not even on the road anymore. This noob says that he's been driving for ages and everything's fine. He gets me on the car. He doesn't even know how to take a turn. I almost flew out of the car the first time you tried to take a turn.
No, Tom, you were like, you have your permit, right?
I'm the only storyteller right now. It was like starting from scratch. I don't even think he's played Super Mario Karts before because the way we took those turns was absolutely ridiculous. This is his first time on the road. I think I peed my pants.
Weren't you playing the music that they play for dead soldiers?
Something like that. I was doing something like that. But anyway,
oh my goodness.
Back to you, Sailor. I didn't have any of those experiences. We drove up to our company headquarters where the snow is on the ground and you kind of bumped around through the potholes and drove through the snow. We Tokyo drifted a little bit. You did a great job.
Thank you.
And at the end of the day, I want every young person to leave an experience with me having done something new, tried something new, and have more confidence for the future. And maybe my wacky way of doing things it makes you fully unsettled and you're like, oh no, I don't want to be there. But I feel like at the end of the day, okay, I do instigate you guys a little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit?
My thing is I do all this for free. I have to get something out of the deal. So maybe the instigation we could do without, but that's the part I enjoy the most. It's what makes the process fun for me.
I feel like all of the faith-to-faith staff has a little bit of shared trauma from Tom. Mostly Kyle.
Mostly Kyle, but Kyle was the most rigid of all. And actually, to Kyle's credit, we've been together since he was like 14 or 15 years old, and he's 34 years old. So as wild of a relationship it is, maybe it's in spite of, I guess, like people are still around. And I think that's evidence that the discipleship is real. Even if the methods are weird, something about it is working. Something about it. And so we did end up strategizing a test for you. We broke everybody up into teams, and actually I was doing a test on Brennan too, and I didn't know I was doing it on him fully, but I had asked him, what size of team would you like every heart to be on when we send you out to do missions and cleaning up places? And he said, we go out in 2s and 3s like the Bible, right? But I took it different from what he said, and I said, okay. so we'll break the whole team up. And I was like, that'll be kind of weird because it was like 7 or 8 people. And if we go 2s or 3s, it wasn't an even team spread. But I broke their team up into multiple teams. And I sent every group out in 2s and 3s. And then I stacked our young people from New England onto their teams and blew out all those teams. And every day the teams got bigger and bigger. And they were so angry with me when they found out I did that. They were livid. But at the end of the day, I remember this one girl, Mariah, coming to me. And she goes, I really didn't like you when I met you. But at the end of the week, this week was really different and rich. And I got to meet a lot of people. I wasn't trying to instigate them, though. I didn't know them.
Yeah.
But my brain always is thinking about connections and how to make things more engaging and how to get more people to do things they wouldn't normally do. So when we got done organizing all the different teams, Sailor, we get down to the VBS level of our normal stuff in Connecticut. And we had 2 VBSs running concurrently with local churches asking us for help. And even though we were doing everything in Rhode Island, I was like, well, we could add 2 more teams and have 2 Connecticut teams running alongside the Rhode Island teams, and we'll all meet up at the end of the week. And then I was like, oh, okay, Sailor's staying up with Dave Cristofaro, so it might make sense to have her up on a Rhode Island team. And I thought, that does nothing for Faith to Faith if she wants to join this team. If she wants to be part of this team, then she has to deal with the realities of New England and the way that we understand ministry, because this is beyond just the week of ministry. She's going to be part of the way we do things. So at that point in time, it was very clear to me, let's put her with other teammates in a situation that's realistic to the kinds of stuff we do and see if she likes it. And the first test was, is she going to moan and cry because she's not around the rock stars? That was the first test. Because if you had a grumpiness or like a chip on your shoulder, it would have been like, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
The second test was, it's not even as, at least from a college young adult perspective, it was like VBS with little children at older churches with like the average age being 60 plus. And we were like, that's very typical of New England as well. And you were like, every day we'd pick you up and she's like, oh my gosh, these kids are amazing. These people are amazing. This is amazing. And we're like, what? She likes it more than we like it. This is weird. And then we get a thank you letter from the church and you're excited. We take the whole team out to lunch and the whole team is whispering to me, oh, Sailor's so great. You got to keep her, Tom. You definitely got to hire her. So I'm like going, wow, that really exceeded, because like, it wasn't like a mousetrap. I wasn't trying to get you. It was like the thing's unfolding and it's like, well, culturally, what makes the most sense? And you didn't just check all the boxes. Like you blew up the list. You were like, oh, wow. So it was like, okay, Sailor's cool people. Yeah. Let's move forward. So,
well, little did you know, I came from an older church and loved kids.
Exactly.
So.
I didn't know that. So, I mean, now that you're a married lady, should we be expecting like a big family to come in the future? Like, are you going to help grow Forest Park?
I don't know about big, but we want kids, but not a ton of kids.
Not a ton? So
no.
We're not going to see you mother duck with a bunch of little duckies?
Probably not. No.
Well, you're so good with the kids, and Forest Park really does, even though there's some mega churches down in Florida, you attend a church that really kind of resembles the way life in New England is. A little bit. So, and now I visited that church and I totally get it. I'm like, oh, God really did stage this relationship to happen. So anyway, that part hadn't happened yet. We move along and you join MPS, Ministry Prayer Stewards. Tell me a little bit about what that was like when you started engaging with the prayer folks.
Honestly, at first, I was very nervous because these were at that time mostly people from up here in Connecticut, or they're in Florida, but they're just snowbirds or things like that. And so I didn't know anyone, and a lot of the people who live here, they see each other out and about, and or at church or different things like that, or like a million of them are related to you. So like
That's funny.
So you guys actually know these people.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just like cold calling and like texting these people
Yeah.
that I have no idea who they are and they don't know who I am. And like, I don't know anything about them. All I know is a name. I don't know how old they are. Some of them I wasn't sure even like if they were a guy or a girl or like, I don't know. And so I'm just texting them. But eventually, like I said, I love it now. And I got used to it and I got used to, just, all the little intricacies that come with it and trying to figure out how to make people talk that don't want to talk, even though they answered your call and, things like that.
So let's fast forward it into what's working for you today at Forest Park. Now, you know your church well, but you're doing a lot of work with small groups. You help to launch them from scratch.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a relationship between having to organize and connect with people and get them to do stuff now from like the bumps and the bruises of like just getting a list and going, make this work?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's kind of something that everyone has to, well, not everyone, but like
A
people,
leader.
people in leadership positions, like
Yes.
managers or anything. It can be all kinds of different jobs. But if you're in a leadership position of any kind, even if it's just, trying to like organize a small event, you're working with people, and there's definitely, it's only been a few years, but I've learned so much about that. And we were talking the other day about even just like setting the deadline for people way earlier than it needs to be if they're trying to get something to you, because 9 times out of 10 they're not going to send it to you before the deadline, and then you have time to make up for it and stuff like that. And I think that kind of just, obviously there's like a learning curve, but I feel like that sort of thing comes naturally to me, because even in school I was always the one kind of like spearheading things. And
those are kind of like the raw talent of leaders that you kind of look for. You look for that initiative. You look for someone who's okay with being a bit uncomfortable all the time.
yeah.
And then you work with that and say, okay. And truly, you only know if someone can deal with it by making them uncomfortable, which I do that to you regularly, and I do it to him regularly. But this is part of the making up of the leader, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's like, well, if you can't be uncomfortable and you can't deal with it, then maybe this is not for you.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, growing is uncomfortable.
Growing is so uncomfortable. And I mean, we watched Josiah grow up on camera, for example. Like when I was watching you TikTokers at the beginning in year 1 and year 2 of Pulse, I was bringing it home and I grab a 14-year-old kid and I'm like, hey, you're going to do this. And he's like, what? And his voice is cracky and high pitched and screechy, and throw yourself on the floor and say, watch this video or something. And he would do it. He would be like, wait, don't scroll. Boom, throw himself into a bookshelf, fall down the stairs. He would do whatever.
Oh my goodness.
You wouldn't even have to tell me. I do it.
Oh, and I know. You were more than willing to do
You're corrupting these poor kids.
Oh, I was already messed up when he found me.
But it's kind of interesting to watch, because while growth is clunky and uneven and you can't predict which parts are going to grow on time and which ones are not going to grow on time, one day it all kind of catches up.
Yeah.
And when it all catches up and is fully formed, it's a kind of a really cool thing to watch and be like, man, I was around for some of that. That's pretty cool.
Definitely.
So in your story, you start doing MPS. You deal with those lists. And what's really interesting is you're probably meeting some of those people that you have phone calls with now.
I know. I'm so excited.
Even the Dubas, Don and Mary, have you called with them before or engaged them in some way before?
Maybe. My list it's been so long now that my list has shifted a few times.
Well, it's because Don and Mary have a place in Vero Beach, Florida.
Okay.
So I could imagine at some point they ended up maybe on your list.
Yeah, I mean, there's
This is
definitely a
Kyle's
good chance.
grandparents, yeah.
There's a good chance. I mean, I did meet them the other day.
Right, that's right. We sat down last night and got to hang out. And so I think that all that is even part of our staff days thinking is like, okay, these aren't a bunch of random kids that don't know each other and all just hang out with Tom and run around with Tom independently. And okay, you're not, the kids who are working are not just getting random lists of people and cold calling fully. Like, of course, when you don't know people, it starts off that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we're advancing relationships and we're helping to make connections that can form into something more than just a general ministry courtesy call.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always the trick, is like trying to figure out how to break that ice is very tricky. But you happen to be around at the right junction where I was taking a bunch of young people from cohort 2 and a little bit of cohort 3 to a conference in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty significant too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tell me about that a little bit.
I kind of forgot about that. I mean, I remember the trip, but I forgot about that's where we kind of started having conversations. So there was just a handful of us there. It wasn't that many people.
22.
Yeah. I mean, well, like in
12 girls, 12 boys.
Yeah, like that's not that much when you look at
The size
the
of the house.
other things, and
Yeah.
the houses were pretty nice.
Yeah.
But that was a super, super cool trip, and we kind of started talking about like taking my role deeper with Faith to Faith, and
because we could see it by then. You know,
yeah.
you'd come to Connecticut. We knew you were good with old people. We knew you were good with kids. You'd done the prayer calls, and you made it work, and you walked with Susie. Although, by then, we're, like, accelerating, because you'd only been doing it a couple months.
Yeah.
If that, you know?
Yeah.
So now we're in Nashville. We're attending this conference, and we start dreaming together about ministry.
Yeah.
And so tell me more about what was, like, going on in your head and in your heart during that time.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. It's hard to remember some of these things because so much was happening so, like, quickly during that time. But, yeah, I mean, still just, like, the dream was to just be in ministry in whatever capacity that I could be. And I've always... Well, not always, but from in that time, I've always loved preaching and teaching and stuff like that. And, of course, always loved my church. And so we just kind of started talking about, and like you said, dreaming of like, you know, well, what could this like role, this partnership look like?
Yeah.
And just exploring, you know, what are our options, what makes the most sense for both of us. And
Yeah, so we map it out, and we start having calls with people that I know, people that you know, inviting them to partner. People started partnering, and then we get into the new year. I think this is the beginning of 2024 now, 2024, and I'm like, let's finish this off. I'll come to Panama City. Let's meet the folks.
yeah.
So that was my first time actually seeing your church, meeting your church, meeting your pastor, youth pastor, and kind of saying, oh, wow, this really is a good fit for us. And making that first agreement with Forest Park and saying, hey, we're not trying to sell you something that's unfamiliar or that you don't know. We're going to attempt to install one of your own people into your church as a hybrid missionary evangelist servant. And your church responded so well to that. Why do you think Forest Park jumped on that opportunity? Because sometimes older churches that have a lot of tradition, and you're from a Methodist background, why do you think that Forest Park decided to just go full tilt in that moment? Because that doesn't seem like a normal thing for a church to do.
Well, I definitely think that part of it is like our pastor, Pastor David, is just so incredible.
Super cool
And he came into our church as the pastor, following a pastor who had been there my entire life up to that point. We had just gone through a massive Category 5 hurricane that destroyed our sanctuary.
Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, like the four walls were still up, but the roof was ripped off and everything in the sanctuary was destroyed.
Whoa.
And so, that was a huge rebuild, and everything in the whole county was destroyed. So getting everything rebuilt took forever. And so I'm pretty sure when he came to Forest Park, we weren't even in the sanctuary for like the first year, maybe. That he was, I might have my times wrong, but it was a long time. So we were meeting in our fellowship hall. And so just came off of that. And then COVID hit. And just, our church, our congregation had been through so much in such a short period of time, and just trying our best to rebuild. And so him and the current staff was already just like fighting against the current of all of that destruction, as well as just being so comfortable.
Yeah.
And not that like the way we were doing things was bad, but it wasn't the best for where we were now. And so I think whenever we brought this idea to them, it was just like, this is something that could help us make that shift.
Yeah. And also, another, I think we probably couldn't leave out the part that Forest Park left the Methodist movement altogether due to like doctrinal differences. I don't think it's inappropriate to say heresy doctrines that the Methodist Church was taking on, and that's another reason I respect Pastor David so much, because he had the courage to stand against something that's probably not godly, and lead the church through reforming as a new group, right?
Yes, definitely. And even since that, I mean, it's just like, all three things back to back. And since then, it's definitely been a challenge for our staff and our, volunteers and everything. But like, we are in such a good place now, in such a healthy place. And like, we were talking about earlier how we're an older congregation, but we're starting to see, more young adults, more young families with babies and kids coming in. And our children's ministry has gotten like so much bigger than it used to be.
That's cool.
So we've just really seen the fruit of all of those, the perseverance through all of those trials.
That's really cool. Okay, we had no interruption for break, so we're going to take a quick break now, and we'll be back right after this.
Hey, my name is Desmond Henry, and it's a joy to serve as the director of the Global Network of Evangelists. At GNE, we're all about creating communities of evangelists that are committed to completing the Great Commission together. And we're inviting you to be a part of one of the incredible collaborative opportunities in 2026. Sign up on evangelist.global/BGNE and be a part of what God is doing around the world.
What?
And we're back with the screeching sound of the goat. You can ask Cheyenne Ewing about that one later, Sailor.
I know what it is.
Oh, you know about the goat?
I know what it is.
Well, it's embodied with that echoing goat noise. And we have been talking about your role at Faith to Faith and your ascension into leadership at the local church level and within the ministry. And we've been talking about all kinds of developmental things, which are all the things that I love. But all those different moving parts, all those different hats you wear in the ministry really are just stacked leadership responsibilities, understanding the difference about having foundations in prayer and in having personal responsibility. It's an interesting thing to link together, but that's the way I decided to do that. And then maybe having other layers unto different interests and skills that I can see that you're going to accelerate in, and having a strong partnership with the local church. So we kind of talked through all those different parts now, but I want to get to know you as a person. And you'd mentioned that you'd had some very difficult health issues as a young person.
Yeah.
And I actually think that might even be part of the reason why you've become so responsible and a leader, because sometimes when we experience a little adversity, it makes us a little tougher, a little stronger.
Definitely, yeah.
So can you take us down that road and tell us some of the things that you've had to overcome in your young years?
Yeah, for sure. So goodness. So I was like a fairly healthy kid when I was younger. I was definitely a little sicker than most, but I mean, it definitely didn't stop me. I grew up my whole life from a very young age dancing, and playing soccer, and I just love to be outside or in the dance studio, super, super active. And then when I got to, let's see, I was about 13, like 8th grade, whenever I started having like more concerning health problems. I was missing a lot of days of school now, and it was just becoming clear that there was something going on, but we didn't know what it was, and no doctors were really giving us any answers. And then it got much worse in my 9th grade year, and in 9th grade, I had most of my teachers like legitimately hated me. Like, and I was always the teacher's pet, because I was always like the quiet, nice kid that would like clean up after everyone and, all that stuff. But in 9th grade, I missed so much school, and I got checked out early almost every day because I just like couldn't make it through the whole day. And so I remember one time I walked into my final class, and I guess my dad had just gone in there to check me out. And the teacher literally yelled at me, and she was like, "You're going to fail if you're not ever here for class," and like yelling at me because I was getting checked out. So that was fun. But anyways, so we got to by like the summer between my 9th grade and 10th grade year, it was obvious that like I needed to take a break from dance and soccer. And for some context, like 9th grade, I was taking 9 dance classes a week, plus competitive dance team, 2 rec soccer seasons a year, and varsity soccer at my high school, and in honors. And so it was a lot. So then summer comes, and I realized, okay, I need to take a break. And I thought that's what it was going to be. It was just going to be a break, and I was going to get my health figured out, and I was going to come back at the beginning of the school year. Like, I wasn't even planning on, I was just taking the summer off. And then by 10th grade, I went to like 4 weeks of school, and my health was just so bad that I left school. I started doing virtual, and I was out of school for almost 2 years for my health, and
that's crazy.
And I was bedridden, like 100% bedridden for like 9 months.
9 months?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That
must have been boring.
Yeah, it was not great. And I didn't have, like, I literally just had my family. I didn't have many friends, visit me or anything. And I kind of, like, all at once just, like, lost, because dance and soccer were my biggest passions. And I also loved academics. And so I lost, like, pretty much all my friends, both of my passions. I couldn't go to church anymore.
How old were you again?
I was 15.
Oh my gosh. You
Yeah.
and Kyle Duba have so much in common. It's not even funny.
Yeah. And
That's
so
crazy.
I like a lot. I couldn't stand up by myself because I would pass out. And I was also like so weak because I couldn't eat anything.
Oh my gosh.
And so like I literally had to have my parents help me walk to the bathroom, which was the next room over. And like if I walked all the way to my front door, that was like a big accomplishment for me, because I was like across the house. And so there were some times when I couldn't even like sit up without passing out, and all the while going to doctors, and like no one can figure out what's wrong with me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so then
did you ever get mad at God for all this, or how did you?
I mean, yeah, I definitely had my moments of like frustration and anger, like mostly because I missed dance and soccer.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was really hard being a teenager and being stuck at home like that, because, you know, you're seeing all of your friends like go to homecoming and, you know, go to football games and do their sports and stuff like that. And it's like they're all living the life that you thought you would be living. And I'm just stuck in a bed.
Oh, man.
And so I genuinely thought like at points that I was not going to live.
Wow.
So, yeah. And
Wow.
then I remember one night, like in the middle of the night, my mom comes running into my room and like shakes me awake, and she's like, I found what's wrong with you. I found what's wrong with you. And she had just Googled the perfect, like, weird combination of symptoms that came up with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is like one of my main conditions. And so then we found a geneticist and had a Zoom call with him because he was like 4 or 5 hours away, and got diagnosed with EDS.
EDS.
Yeah.
Called again? Tell me again.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Danlos syndrome.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
So originally, it's a really rare condition, so there's a lot of unknowns about it, but it's a genetic disorder. It's autoimmune, and basically we used to think that it was a lack of collagen in the body, but now we're figuring out that it's actually like, I think we're missing a protein or something like that that binds the collagen. And so because it's not binding correctly, collagen is in literally everything in your body, like all of your organs, all of your like ligaments and muscles and things like that. So all of my joints dislocate all the time. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So is this why you have this hole in your heart too?
Probably. I don't know.
The collagen didn't bind the thing together? Or?
I guess. I mean, a PFO is a really common thing. It's uncommon to have problems from it, especially at my age. So most people have it and don't ever know. I think it's like 1 in 10 or 1 in 5 or something like that. People have it.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's insane.
And then from there, we just continued to like slowly over time find more diagnoses and things like that. I think at this point I'm at like 9 or 10 diagnoses of like mostly rare chronic health conditions. But
whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you about your heart. Like, Jesus is the only one who can fill that.
Thank you for enlightening me, Tom.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Callie and I make jokes like that all the time.
Oh my gosh. So where does finding faith in here happen for you? If you're isolated, if you're not able to engage your friends and you can't even go to the bathroom by yourself, how did you end up getting on fire for the Lord through this whole thing?
Yeah, so it was definitely hard. I mean, I guess like a little bit of background. I grew up going to church my whole life, but I didn't see, I don't know, my family was, they were Christian and they were very moral people and everything, but like I didn't see people praying or reading their Bible like very often. Like, not that they weren't, but I just didn't see it or notice it outside of church. And so I kind of thought that, you know, that was just normal, and that, you know, you try to follow Jesus's rules outside of church, but I didn't understand about like personal relationship with him. And so, I mean, I heard about it in youth group, like right before all of this happened. And so I think that was like really key timing as well. And so then whenever all of this did happen, I became like very, very anxiety ridden and extremely depressed. And so like mental health was like a very big struggle for me. And I just remember like asking God one day, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but like I need you, and like you're the only one that's gonna make this any better. And so I was just desperate, you know. And so I started like reading my Bible more. And this was while I was like in that 9 months of being bedridden. So reading my Bible more, and I started praying more. And
Wow.
I feel like that's when my personal relationship with God really started. And like, I wouldn't say that I like fully surrendered my life to Jesus until like later on after I had left college. But that's when everything started and the journey kind of began.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I mean, I know that faith runs really deep for you because I got to meet your Mima before she passed
Yeah.
at your wedding
Mm-hmm.
this past spring. And she told me that she had faith because you used to make her go to church as a child. She said that you would always ask her, and she didn't really feel like she had the luxury to be on the fence.
Yeah.
And she said, truthfully, I wouldn't have gone to church if Sailor wasn't asking me to go.
Aw.
Isn't that a lovely thing? Did you know that she told me that?
Yeah, I think you shared that with me before, but I had forgotten it. But yeah, she's the best. And honestly, like, I don't know. I don't always like to talk about it because I just don't think, like, it's all glory to God. Like, it's not me.
Sure.
But my parents, like, growing up, they weren't the ones that came to church with me. They didn't even come on, like, Christmas and Easter. They weren't even Creasters.
Wow.
And
Creasters.
and that's what Pastor David says.
That's funny.
And so like, they were great people and they were Christian, but they just never came to church. And my other grandparents were the ones that took me, and then I got my Mima to go too. And then she started bringing my little cousin. But whenever, like, after I did fully surrender my life to Jesus and I, started doing all of this, like, I just got so serious about it and started preaching and doing all of these things and really devoted my life to God, my parents realized, like, man, like, maybe there's something behind this. And they wanted to be excited about what I'm excited about.
Sure.
And so, like, now they are, avid churchgoers. They're much deeper in their faith. My dad is almost done with the Bible.
Whoa.
Which is crazy.
That is crazy.
That's, like,
That's really cool.
such a huge praise. And
Wow.
yeah.
I feel like I met them, like, sort of towards the beginning of this faith journey, Like, I mean, they're still kind of at the beginning-ish because, like, you're young, and I've known you in this 2023 through 2025. We only go back a few years before that, and you're a teenager.
Yeah.
Bedridden. So, I mean, it actually occurred to me that some of this bedridden time probably overlaps with COVID and stuff like that, right? Or
No, so COVID was my senior year.
Oh, so it was lockdown, more lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I went back to school for the last, like, 4 weeks of my junior year, and then senior year started, and I only got, like, maybe half of my senior year.
Oh, my gosh. That's crazy. So really, this run-in to health really spans all of your teen years.
Yeah.
And then you're finding faith on your sort of young adult years, and your parents kind of fall into place right in this season. I mean, it's happening now.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I mean, they were always believers, but it's
Sure.
there's just a shift.
Yeah.
So
Where you go from, like, this is an idea that I believe, to, like, this is my life.
yeah.
It really is that line, and everybody kind of argues about where you draw that line in the sand. But when we encounter Jesus and he becomes our Savior, that's, like, just the small piece of the puzzle. It's this lordship thing. Jesus is the Lord, which has something to do with our salvation for sure, but we don't earn it. But that lordship thing, like, we're spending a lifetime figuring out what it means to follow.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, Sailor, we are so encouraged to have you as part of our team, part of the life of our ministry. I know that we look good at Forest Park because when they think of Faith to Faith, they think of you. And so that is a beautiful thing. Thanks for being here on the
Thank you,
show. Thanks for coming to
guys.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
And it's so cold. I'm even feeling cold right now. But we need to face it because you're preaching all weekend, telling your testimony here at Calvary Chapel, my home church, and then we go straight into staff days. So
yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be great.
thank you for being here today.
Thank you, guys.
We've got to do this again.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll see you.
Next week on the Gospelcast, tune in to hear our special guest, Logan Wood. You certainly won't want to miss it.